business and innovation. EIN TV, educative, innovative, and nature-centric.
Interesting edition of your favorite program on TV, EIN TV, of course, Environmental Resort. And my name is Ediong Senyenen Junobong. Today on Environmental Resort, we'll be discussing something very important, and of course, it is a driving force for to if you really want to combat climate change. Meanwhile, about on last week, the last edition we had on this particular show, we had talked about how we could harness sustainable energy source, clean energy sources, and our guest Tubong, who joined us from the UK, made some very fantastic presentations on how we could, leverage on clean technology to see that we solve our energy problem while we are also fighting the already the fight was also fighting climate change or contributing our quota to see that we win the war against climate change. And today on the show, I'll be having someone I respect so much, an elder in the space, though he's in a young man's skin. But this fellow has been quite active in this space, and is what is unique about him for me is his area of studies and now the thing he's doing for nature. Now let me do a brief. This fellow studied English, all right? He studied English, but now he's advocating for nature. So you'll be wondering, what would someone that studied English language or had a degree in English and will be doing with the things around environment and stuff? That's to tell you that all of us we have a role to play. All of us we have something to offer. We have a thing to do to preserve and conserve nature. We have a thing to do to see that we bequeath a sustainable environment for the next generation. So, ladies and gentlemen, joining me today from Mina, Niger State, is the founder of Youth Voyage. Youth Voyage is a youth-led organization focused on environmental action, particularly around community advocacy and the things that pertain to the local people to see that they drive climate action. So to speak with us today on driving climate action through community advocacy is Richard Abubakar Umar, the founder of Youth Buyer, joining us from Mina, Niger State. Mr. Umar, you're welcome to Environmental Resort.
Thank you very much, Young. I'm happy.
Signal is trying to mess of the conversation bar. I hope we can get this sorted. Umar is joining us from Niger State, and of course, depending on the location, the signal can be quite poor, and we will see how to sort this out. Umar, can you still hear me?
Here, and nice being part of the.
Umar, we're struggling to hear you. It appears your signal is a bit poor.
Can you hear me?
Your signal is. Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I said thank you for having me, and it's nice being part of this conversation as always. And I'm most humbled to be on your show for the very first time. Thank you very much.
That's great. I didn't know. How would I have, not host you for quite some time now? My apologies. Please, we will do our best to always have you on the show because I know you are doing a lot of job and to conserve nature. So, Umar, how is Niger State today?
Niger State is fine, and we are experiencing the subsidy removal as same as you two is experiencing over there in Akwa. So it's a general phenomenon and a feel of the new policy being taking effect. So we all are feeling the brunt of the taste of the new government in power. So I
Mm.
say all are different from Akwa Ibom, the situation in Niger State.
It is well, but before the elections, Akwa Ibom is fine. But before the elections, there was a campaign that was being carried around being carried on by some of us in this space. Talking about vote for climate, and I do not know what this policy would transcend to conserving the environment, because we've been advocating for the oil to be left in the soil. So do you think this particular policy of government will aid in that regard?
Well, they say drastic situations bring up drastic measures, and
Mm,
this situation is one that is hitting the people below the belt. And we've never experienced this kind of situation except during the Jonathan administration, where they temporarily removed subsidy, then the pressure made them to return it back. So, but this time around, the reality is before us, and subsidy has been removed, and it has not been captured in 2023 budget, and it's now alternative measures. And our advocacy all this while has been on alternative ways of adaptation or mitigation to climate change, climate crisis, climate loss and damage, and what have you. So, but you see, with this now, I believe this will provoke innovation, especially
mm,
in transition, especially as we are transiting into renewable energies. We have been getting discoveries. Like in Niger State, we have the Bitter Basin, where they've discovered large deposits of gas. And the gas project from Warri to Kano as well is ongoing.
mm.
So these are measures that already NMPC and some technical partners are already carrying that out to see how we can really, really move the work, the talk to work, by having things in infrastructure in place that will connect us to renewable energy. So I will say, well, this is a very, very, very critical time in our national history. And we as climate advocates, we would prefer to see that emissions are cut. We prefer to see that traffic reduce, and which will drastically cut emissions. Like today, I'll tell you, in Mina, we went out, the regular busy roads were a bit empty. I know definitely the same experience. Because on Arise TV, they analyzed it that traffic will reduce, and the filling stations are even empty. They have fuel, but nobody is buying. You
But
understand?
nobody to buy. Oh wow!
So it's not that there's no fuel now. Fuel is available. We passed Owando, we passed all the major NMPC, major service stations. They are there, their gates are open, but the number of people buying PMS is low. So you see, there's
Mm,
now
mm.
availability, but there's no purchasing power. So you see, the situation now is going to be very, very impactful to
So,
the
so,
current.
so Omar, would
But
you
again,
say would you say this is to our advantage?
yeah, it's going to be very, very detrimental again to the common man. So they
Mm.
have to have a balance in the equation. Now we are going to accept mass transit as a very, very viable tool to cut carbon. Now, where you need to carry 10 cars to go, you just need one bus to take about
And
60.
that's it.
Yeah. So instead of taking
That's
10
that.
cars that take less than, let's say, 30 people, you now have a bus that can take up to 66 or 70 people. So when you have more buses, like 10 buses doing 10 buses now doing 700 people per se, then you now see that the number of cars will reduce. Then we now have mass transit taking people from one location to the other,
To another.
emissions will reduce. So I urge the government to see that they alleviate the suffering of the common
The
people.
common man.
The number of people now, the number of motorists will reduce. then we might have more people now using bicycles or using scooters or using motorcycles. So you see, there's going to be a drastic cut in the use of cars in the coming weeks, in the coming months, and even in the coming years. So definitely we are going to go back to the era of mass transit, which we don't used to see before.
I love this perspective, because there have been a lot of complaints from different quarters, and apart from the fact that it will, have a bad toll on the common man, being that there are no basic provisions at this moment for the common man to take advantage of. But seeing it from the perspective of nature, I think it goes a long way already to cut
Let
carbon.
me
So
just give a critical example. Like when we moved to the telecoms era during the Obasanjo administration,
yeah.
you remember SIM cards were going for as high as 38,000 naira. Then if you're getting it with a Sajem phone or a Motorola phone or a Samsung R220 Blueface of those days, you're going to be having like 60,000 naira just to own a mobile phone. But today, SIM cards are given for free. So you can see the evolution. So definitely, when it started, it was not everybody that could afford mobile phones.
Of course.
When the evolution keeps going, today you can, with your 10,000, 15,000, you can pick a mobile phone, have a SIM card for, let's say, 500 naira. They will give you like 500 naira worth of credits to have on your SIM, and that translates to like getting a free SIM card. So you see, before it was 38,000, but because of the competition in the market, allowing it open for people to come and try their own innovation, they've been able to make it affordable, available for people. So I believe in the coming years, our train system will be activated. You will see, because it will move people in mass and it will cut down emission. Then we'll have more luxurious buses moving around now, carrying people in large numbers. So you see the cut will now start adding up, and our emissions will start dropping. So the NDC, when you now look at the ripple effects on our national determined contribution, will now start taking effects drastically. So with the help of tree planting and carbon sinks everywhere, you can imagine we might even surpass our
national target. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Omar. I want to. This is prompting me to have a different conversation on this subject matter. Maybe I will get to, have you share deeper perspective on this on the subsequent edition of this program. But for now, let's get to, talk about how we could, engage community advocacy in driving climate action. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Environmental Resort on EIN TV. My guest today is Mr. Richard Umar, joining us from Mina, Niger State. And I would like to say a very big thank you to the people who's been making sure that we have this program running week in, week out. I would like to say a very big thank you to Blue Green Initiative for Sustainable Development, Climate and Sustainable Development Network, and Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance. Thank you so very much to those wonderful organizations who has made sure that we keep this program afloat. So back to you, Homer. Let's get to know exactly the things you were doing with Youth Voyage in Niger State.
Yeah, Youth Voyage was an innovation that came to light when I was a student in the Niger State College of Education, studying English Social Studies at that time. And I got involved on the largest youth network online. Then I was very exposed to the internet at that very early age. So when I got involved to the Taking IT Global, that's the largest youth network in the world at that time, I was able to connect with young people from around the world, connect with like minds. That's where I now cross path with people like Taiwo Ade. I think Taiwo is based in Lagos, is an environment consultant. We met online, and like that, then I belong to this network, what they call them, Young Nigerian Professional Network. And from that, I connected with people like Victor Gotiv. They are now all big names in the media space diplomatically. they brought me to the first international meeting I attended in Kano at the American Corner, where I met people like Mutala Adogi that were pushing for climate action at that time, with Esther Akbarakwe later on. After I met Mutala, invited me for the Nigerian Young Greens meeting in Abuja. That's where my connection with climate change came to life in 2007. So in 2007, I started advocating under the Global Young Greens, then the Nigerian Young Greens, West African Young Greens. We started pushing for climate action, for young people to get involved on discussions that has to do with their environment and climate change. So that was how we started. Though Youth Voyage is a community-based organization here in Mina, Niger State, that choose to remain as a community-based organization because we understood from day one that climate change is a local problem, is a local issue that affects communities that are most vulnerable, especially those ones within the riverine areas, coastal lines, within dam communities, then communities that are within the conserved areas where you have trees, you have forestation, where you have issue of tree felling for charcoal production, tree felling for lumbering and exports. So these are areas where we believe that needs attention. So that's why Youth Voyage continue to push for advocacy in local communities. And we've been doing this since 2007. And to God be the glory, we've been able to push advocacies to local communities, especially when we did the Save 80 project in partnership with DARE and Social Renewable Energy in Kaduna. We were able to advocate for the use of Save 80 stoves, where you only need 20% of the total firewood you need to cook, just to save 80% that you will have burnt to emit carbon. So we're on that advocacy drive because of our presence locally with Social Renewable and DARE. We went to local communities around New Busa, Barugu local government that borders Benin Republic from Niger State, and we're able to meet with the local community heads, the village, the emir, and advocate the use of Save 80 stoves in those local communities, which really helped to cut down carbon emissions. So Youth Voyage have been doing so well with young people and even doing well in terms of capacity building, young people engagement, Catch Them Green campaigns, and even we went as far as building a demonstration forest inside the State College of Education, because we got a research from there then that Niger State is the largest producer of charcoal and firewood. And these firewoods were bought within villages and communities around the axis of Jeba. When you're coming from Jeba through Makwa to Bidda down to Lapai area, you see tanker drivers or trailers with sacks of charcoal on top of their trucks. And as well, you see firewood being packed, taken to the far north, because Niger State is in the heart of Nigeria. It's a transit state between the core north and the southern part of Nigeria. So when trailers are bringing things from the wharf in Apapa, Tinkan, in Lagos, they pass through Niger, and when that research came up, they realized that the trees and firewood, the firewoods and charcoals they get were from communities within Niger State. So that was very, very alarming, and we needed to take action. And what we felt was that, okay, since we have young people coming to study in our state college of education, why not engage them into climate action? Why not give them the knowledge? Why not make them understand that, okay, these things that happen in your villages have huge impact to climate change? So with this proposal, we're able to secure a 3.8 hectares location inside the college. The school was able to give us that space, and we were able to start with 2,000 trees. And we partnered with the Department for Agriculture, where they got students to own one tree each as CA, 20 marks
Wow.
of the CA, so that if you nurture the tree well, you get 20 marks. Then the other 20 marks, you get it from a test in the classroom. So we're able to get that commitment from the school, which was a huge one, which was something that I believe till this point, I don't know if there's any school that has achieved that within Niger State or within the North. And these students had the trees with their names on it and admission numbers. And they were watering these trees even through the dry season. So the trees were standing, and they are still standing from 2011-12 till date. It will amaze you that you still go to that forest and see trees that are 8 years old, 9 years old, 5 years old, trees standing. And the forest is gradually taking shape because of pollination. From the trees we planted now, they are making seeds, like the eucalyptus is making seeds. So naturally, they are springing up on their own now to form a forest. So it's now useful for even the Department of Geography to use it as a point of reference for their students as a man-made forest. So these are impacts that we did in order for the students coming from these 25 local governments to understand the importance of tree planting, to understand the importance of the impact of climate change and the importance of forestation to their communities, so that they will become champions in their local communities and tell them better that they are now advocates. They are now green advocates in school. They own a tree in school, and they will as well translate it in these communities where deforestation is deeply attacking the state. So that's what Youth Wage has been able to do. And that project attracted 2 interns from the UK to come and work with me. We had an intern from the Southampton University in the UK from the Department of Engineering and the Environment. She was a master's student, and it will interest you to know that at that time I was an undergraduate student, and I had a master's student and a PhD student come run internship in that project. And thank God for UNDP and the Ministry for Environment. They came on a tripartite partnership. They proposed a partnership with me, and on my own, they gave me a grant of $20,000 at that time to expand the project and have it from 2,000 to like 10,000 trees. So we've been getting visitors. We had a moringa plantation that was about 5,000 stands. We had people coming to learn our model. We had even the Nigerian Export Promotion Council came. They came to see how we were able to do that, because we were having this vision of translating it into a green economy as at that time. So I don't want to just go into just this project, because it is a baby that I'm still nurturing, and I've been getting proposals of investment on how we can do convert it into green economy, and how we can now bring in more economic trees and see how we can start producing byproducts that are zero waste, that have zero waste value chain. That is to say, the products, if you're going to do palm oil, the waste is going to even serve as briquettes for use by the community. So this is where we are at this point, and it excites me that it's a milestone that we've built over the years.
Man, that's quite. I need to allow you go to the very end of that a story narrative, because without that we wouldn't have had the proper basis for this conversation. And I must give kudos to you and your team for such an amazing job. But it's not easy being an undergraduate, having an intern who is a master's student, even outside Nigeria, come to work with you. Kudos to you, by
the same discipline, science and arts.
Okay, so let's move to something very different, because I know by now, apart from that particular project, there must have been some ripple effect, some trickles, where it trickles down to the local community, to the people beyond the student community. And what has been the impact on the community, and how are the people taking action as a result of your advocacy?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we've been able to reach out to traditional rulers. We've been able to engage rural communities, community leaders, faith-based, across board, non-state actors to understand the impact of climate change. We've been having community engagement, town hall meetings, and even conversations in order to make them understand the impacts of climate change. Because climate change is like is a phenomenon that has come to live with us. And if we don't start taking these advocacies down to the rural communities, it will become alien to them when we will really want them to really adapt. You understand? So, what we've been able to do is, yeah, we've been able to partner with the Niger State Sustainable Development Goals by localizing the SDG goals into local languages so that people within the states that speak the major languages like the Gbagi people, the Nupe people, the Hausa people, the Kambari people will understand what the sustainable development goals are and what goal 13 is talking about climate action with serious emphasis on that, especially as it affects rural communities. And that has really, really driven strong advocacy by committing government now. You can see the advocacy has gone beyond, okay, just going to rural communities, doing business as usual, bringing them, engaging them on town hall meetings. We've engaged schools. We've even carried out Catch Them Green campaign, bringing primary school students, young students, teaching them tree planting, donating trees to their schools for them to have their own trees, like a forest, like all this. We needed to translate it to more action in rural communities. That's why we got those documents. And we got the Sustainable Development Goal to take action by taking these advocacies to around all the 5 emirates in Niger State with these books. Immediately they finish their advocacies, then they now give these books in their local languages. You understand? So that they can understand what the global goals is talking about. So that we've been able to bring in policymakers, institutions to join in the advocacy because political will is key when it comes to issues of policy and issues of action. We can finish our English, our shouting, what do we want, climate justice. But if the government of the day is not interested, my brother, there's nothing that will happen in that particular country or state. So even the issue of climate action now being taking place even after the Paris Agreement, how does it affect the local communities? That's where we come in. Because it stops in Abuja, it stops in major country capitals.
Capitals, yeah.
If we get to the subnational, that's counties, states, depends on what you call it in your country. Does it get to the states? And if you stop at the state capitals, does it get to the local government capitals? So we've been pushing for that advocacy. And actually, I wanted to make something a surprise, but you're pushing me now because you just brought up this issue of local communities. We are now getting local government chairmen involved. That's the next phase for Youth Voyage of Nigeria. We are now no longer speaking big English. We are now engaging local government. It will interest you to know that as I speak to you, we're in partnership with the Niger State Ministry for Local Government. We are going to start an advocacy campaign and a documentary in 6 local government areas in Niger State, most vulnerable local governments. I wanted to make it a surprise, but it's a work in progress already.
I had wanted asking you a question because talking about policy, and we just finished the national and subnational elections, and the next phase will be the local government elections, and we must, talking about grassroots, we must see how we could, gain access into the third tier of government, being the local government. And so, is there anything you're doing in Niger State, for instance? Because I did a research recently, and I realized that there is no environmental desk in local government areas. I don't know if that applies to.
That's the
so you see, there is no linkage. We have the Federal Ministry of Environment, we have the State Ministry of Environment, but there is no such arrangement at the local government level. So what has been because I know you're also political, and so you should also see how to pull your weight to say that you have young people who have the knowledge of this what is happening to our environment, to see they move into a position of power at the local government level. Is there anything like that in your own
Yeah. What my team and I are doing currently is because this project is not just about me. We have the likes of Ekele.
Signal is trying to mess with that conversation, but I trust Mr. Omar will be back in the JV, but he's still quite online. But the signal is poor from his end. Okay, Mr. Omar, I noticed your signal went bad, but if you can hear me, you may want to start all over again to respond to that question.
We've been
So,
working on this project since last.
okay, so signal is still trying to be a bit messy from Uma's end. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the Environmental Resort on
Yeah,
AIN TV. Please, if you've not followed our page, do well to follow us on Twitter at TV_AIN and on Facebook at AINTV, same on YouTube. Okay, so we are having Richard
yeah,
Umar, the founder of Youth Voyage, on environmental resort today, and we are talking about how we could use community advocacy to drive climate action. So before the internet got disrupted, Umar, you were
yeah.
trying to make advocacy on the
Yes.
on the aspect of raising young leaders at the local government level.
So you see, we now strategized. We now understood that we need to engage the local government, but we have to do it in a way because we cannot be meeting them differently because it's difficult catching the local government chairman together. So what we did now is we're in partnership with the Ministry for Local Government. We're taking the advocacy to the local government straight up, local government and chieftaincy affairs, bringing the both of them together to see that we get the message right. So we've gotten the most vulnerable local government because Niger State has 4 hydro dams providing electricity to national grid, providing clean hydropower to national grid. So we are visiting these dam communities because during the last year flooding, some communities submerged, some communities have to relocate. We had the issues of maternal mortality, where we had women giving birth during the flooding crisis. So we are technically taking this advocacy to these communities, to these vulnerable communities that were affected with this climate crisis, to see how we can out to the world and let them tell the world their story and experience as an evidence-based climate effect on their lives and livelihood. So this is what we're doing. It's not an easy task, but we are taking the bull by the horn to ensure that we take the advocacy to them and we get them to air their voices to the world and let the world see them living in their communities and being affected by climate change and being affected in the areas of their livelihoods, in the areas of their sustainability, because you can imagine what it means for a farmer to lose his entire proceeds to flooding. What does it fall back on? Loss and damage issues. How does he understand that this is climate change and he is not the cause of this problem? His forefathers were not the cause of this problem. And we are always also going to go into a critical angle of indigenous knowledge. We are trying to see as well if we can document a little, because we are working within a very, very tight budget, to see if we can document a little indigenous knowledge from what they used to know, from what their forefathers, how they used to adapt to situations like this, How do they mitigate situations like this? Are there things we can learn? Are there stories we can hear? So these are the things we're trying to see how we are going to hit the ground. And with this subsidy removal, we don't know if we are going to be using bicycles or canoes. It's crazy. So
Thank you.
be on a boat or on a canoe, trying to get.
Either ways, you would be cutting your carbon footprint. And talking about hitting the ground running, already Nigerians are already hitting the ground running, and just like our president had directed that we do, because he had said that the first day in office, or you will hit the ground running, and again it will hit the ground running, and again it will hit the ground. So we are hitting the ground already running. So I want to thank you, Omar, sincerely for finding time to come on Environmental Resort today, and of course to share these quite amazing things you do for the local communities in Niger State. I do not take this time for granted, and I most sincerely appreciate you and your team at Youth Voyage. Ladies and gentlemen, like this is an Environmental Resort, and it comes your way every Thursday. But we have some flexibilities because of the class of guests we host on the program. We host guests across the globe, and so the issues of different time zones, and of course our job schedule. We also have that flexibility. So it may come your way anytime in the week. It could be on a Monday, could be, but the fact is that we pass some very sensitive information to you with regards to environmental sustainability. And today we're having a very dogged community advocate on the show. His name is Richard Umar, joining us from Mina, Niger State. So Umar, before we wrap up, because we're supposed to be taking just 40 minutes of your time, and from the look of things we have just about 3 more minutes to go. I would just like you to raise an advocacy with regards to what is happening. What is that present thing that is happening in Niger State that you would love to address, even if it happens as soon as possible? I would love you to raise an advocacy in that regard.
Yeah, the advocacy I want to critically raise is around artisanal mining. Artisanal mining is a major challenge for us here in Niger State, in the urban and rural areas, and it has been a very, very huge contributory factor to our insecurity challenge in the state. So at this point, I would want to call on the state government and even the current president, the person of Senator Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, to take the bull by the horn in the areas of national security, because climate crisis is now an issue of national security, and all state governors in vulnerable states should take it as such. And let's see how hitting the ground running can really, really add value to the common man's safety, sustainable livelihood, and even his health, because lead poisoning is an emanating danger when it gets to the issue of artisanal mining, and it affects both children, women, and young people. So this is a clarion call and a strong advocacy call that I'm making, so that we can see that matters don't escalate beyond what they are, and we can see how we can all join our hands and partner and see that we add value in our little ways. I believe that is all I have for now.
Thank you sincerely, Omar. And just like what is happening in the Niger Delta, where waters are being polluted by not just artisanal refineries, but even with the oil exploitation, because there's gone beyond the level of oil exploration. I'm happy you are talking about the issue of illegal or artisanal mining over there in Niger State. Thank you so very much, Omar, for your time today. And I hope when next we call, you always want to come on the show, sir.
Thank you very much, Idion. It's always a pleasure. Even when you took
Thank
me by short notice, I told you you can always count on me any day, anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We apologize for that short notice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's part of job,
Of course. Thank you, and thank you indeed. Have a nice time, sir.
Thank you too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Richard Umar, the founder of Youth Voyaging, who joined us from Mina, Niger State, talking about how we could drive climate action through community advocacy. And he's been doing fantastically well with his organization and his team in Niger State. And when he came to the issue of raising advocacy, he met some very genuine, call for the people of Niger State, for the leadership in Niger State, and of course, they've been able to see that they see what they could do to abolish illegal mining in Niger State. And of course, I will join my faith with him to also call that we see how we could control what is happening in Niger Delta, because we are losing our fishes, we are losing our source of livelihood. We are, let's just see how we could, leave the oil on the soil, on the ground, and then see how we could be innovative and produce or come with alternative means of energy, like we did talk about last week. So let's see how we could do this and see that we have a sustainable environment with all of our means of livelihood intact. And of course, we would be certain that we have a safe space, a safe environment to bequeath to the next generation. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be the size of it today on Environmental Resource. Please go on Twitter to follow us at TV_EIN, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at EIN TV, EIN_TV, and also you follow us on Facebook at EIN TV. We thank you sincerely to everyone who came on the show, and a very special thanks to Blue Green Initiative for Sustainable Development, Climate and Sustainable Development Network, and Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance. Thank you for making sure that we always come on the show. And if you would love to partner with us, or you have any business you would love to do with us, please feel free to reach out to us. Our contacts are on our Facebook page. Yes, you could reach us there, and we will be glad to do business with you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ediong Ndunobong, and this is Environmental Resort on EIN TV. Please do your best to make sure you live sustainably, make sustainable choices, and of course, consume responsibly. Do not waste your food, and buy the basics, and of course, what you would be able to consume, and you do not go into the waste bin. And if you are generating waste, do well to separate and know the kind of waste you're generating. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, like our president has instructed, we should hit the ground running. So do not just complain. Think of innovative ways you could solve your energy needs or energy problem. And on that note, I would like to say a very big thank you to all of you again for being a part of this conversation today. My name is Ediong Ndunobong. Good night.
This is EIN TV, your one-stop TV space for conversations around nature, societal issues, education, business, and innovation. EIN